Hello, I'm Paul Wells. The year is 1960 and I have 10 songs for you to guess. Good luck. Here is song number 1. Okay. Well, obviously, Elvis Presley, It's Now or Never, which is in E. I have to say that, so obviously I've been having a listen to songs from the 1960s and 1960 in particular, and I'll admit I was never a big fan of Elvis. I'm not now particularly a fan of Elvis, but when I listened to what else there was out there at the time, the Elvis songs are distinctive, they're well held together. I was a young boy when Elvis died. I remember cycling around the housing estate where I lived when the news had come out, and I kid you not, every third or fourth house was playing an Elvis tune at full volume. So never underestimate the popularity of this man. Next, we have song number 2. Okay, probably not the best rendition in the world, but hopefully enough for you to get it. Yes, I believe my research is correct, and that is Chubby Checker, The Twist, which is in good old E major. Okay, so, well, E major is obviously the default chord, the default tonic for guitar players. So, yeah, there's quite a lot of guitar music in 1960, so yeah, you often hear songs which are based around E and B. E, the tonic, A, the subdominant, and B, the dominant. And I imagine people would dance to this sort of song until the record wore out, basically. You've got to remember there was lots of saxophone in it, lots of drums in it as well. So I'm going to give this one a score. I'm going to give it a danceability score of a skirt-lifting 7 out of 10, and I'm going to give it an iconicity score of a rather centrifugal 4 out of 10. Next, it's song number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. She wore. So, that was meant to be Brian Hyland, Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny, Yellow Polka Dot Bikini, which is in D, which is my favourite key as it happens. This song is obviously fun. I think fun is an element sadly absent from most of modern music. Note this rhythm. So that's a heavily dotted rhythm, so there's no... It could have been smoother, but that jerky movement indicates it's fun. It's just a way of injecting a bit of fun into a song. Put a rhythm in like that, a dotted rhythm. It's got a Benny Hill type of subject matter to it, obviously, and you wouldn't put something out like that these days because it's blatantly sexist and stereotypical and all the rest of it. I'm going to give it a score. I'm going to give it a coverability factor of a very cheeky 4 out of 10. The problem with this sort of thing is where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, tell the people what she wore. Well, I'm sitting here just waiting for time to pass. So I can't really cover anything like that. Anything with talking in it makes it tough to cover it in the way that I normally do, just on the piano, purely instrumental. But yeah, it's got a fun factor. I'll give it a fun factor of a titillating 6 out of 10. And I give it an iconicity factor of a very skimpy 5 out of 10. Next up, we have song number 4. Attempt this bit. Thank you. Okay, you get the idea. So that was indeed, and it's not a piano piece, as I have now very richly demonstrated, that was The Shadows' Apache, which is in good old A minor. I find these, I don't know whether you can hear all this noise outside. I find, those two chords kind of unnerving. Not dangerously so, but everything's all right, but kind of only all right. You know, something might be brewing, something's not quite right. I give this a harmonic compliance of a very native 4 out of 10. No, I think that's a bit harsh. I think it's 5 out of 10. I think there's a lot of interest in the harmonies in this. There's a few modulations. Obviously it's a classic. So for iconicity, I give it a somewhat nonchalant 5 out of 10, which is actually quite a good score. So, and I have a little confession to make, which is that I bumped another song and put this one in at the very last minute. I was going to put in Roy Orbison, Only the Lonely, but the rhythms are a bit of a pig. Actually quite hard to follow what he's doing in it. So, I've just pushed it out. I haven't really got time to learn it. Okay, next is song number 5. I don't know where to start. Should have stopped there. Wonderful. So that was Paul Anka, Puppy Love, and it's in good old straightforward Boulders Brass G. So, I first, my early recollections of this song were the Donny Osmond version, which was actually in 1972. What I would say by listening back to the original, I'd say that it had somewhat of an Elvis-y, Roy Orbison type singing style to it. And I very much like this. So this is in G major. So what's A flat major doing in it? As the second chord, this is just oozing with character. So I like that a lot. I give it an iconicity factor of a very canine 6 out of 10. I give it a fun factor, because obviously it's about a young lad with a crush. I get a fun factor of a tail wagging 5 out of 10. And for harmonicity, I give it a howling 7 out of 10. Next, it's, believe it or not, song number 6. Together now. Okay, that was Anita Bryant's version of Paper Roses, which is in G, and is another one that's been nabbed by the Osmonds, this time Marie Osmond. And this is also how I know this song. Clearly the Osmonds had somewhat of an affinity with 1960. The original's really got quite a vulnerable singing style. Quite a nice orchestral backing to it, whereas the Osmonds version sounds more what I class as being a country music sound to it, with twangy steel guitars, etc. Iconicity, I give this a rather insincere 4 out of 10. Don't think that's a bad score though, that's actually quite good. Coverability, I give it a synthetic 6 out of 10. But for harmonicity, an injection molded 6 out of 10. So I'm liking this, that's what this means. This has got some actually quite nice harmonies in it. So we've got a C in the bass dropping down to an F sharp of all things. And then falling fifths follow. So, yeah, I quite like that. Okay, and next we have song number 7. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Eddie Cochran, 3 Steps to Heaven, and it's in wonderfully relaxed B flat major. So the lyrics of this song are basically the simplest methodology you've ever heard in your life, which is 3 steps to heaven. I give this a coverability of an oversimplistic 5 out of 10. So, yeah, I could cover it, but I'm not going to be covering it anytime soon. I give it a harmonic divergence factor, a rather predictive 1 out of 10. So basically there's no surprises in the harmony here. And I give it a rhythmic divergence factor of a rather phase-gated 3 out of 10. Next we have song number 8. Okay, and that was, give me a second, Emil, is that the pronunciation? Emil Ford, what do you want to make those eyes at me for? Now, I'll confess I couldn't learn this one in 2 minutes, so I've done a cheeky thing and I've written it down. But I hope that was clear enough that you could recognise it. So, a song with a huge amount of chromatic nudging between. I mean, you can't just learn this in a second. So I give this a glaring 8 out of 10 for the very daring use of chromatic scales. Iconicity, I give it a blinking 3 out of 10. For harmonicity, I give it a winking 1 out of 10 because the chords are actually quite basic. It's all the power in the melody that's made this song. Coverability, I give it a squinting 4 out of 7. I'm probably never going to bother to learn it and cover it properly. Next, song number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. I say. That was Lonnie Donegan, My Old Man's a Dustman, which is in a nice simple G. I just remember this song being played on the radio as a child absolutely all the time. And this is something I've discovered from looking at 1960s songs, because I've had a bit of a look ahead from 1960 to see where this is going. Songs bounce back after they've been away for 3 years and suddenly come back in the charts. I mean, that obviously doesn't happen anymore. I don't know why this was such a big hit. It's a silly song. I note that the main voice is in a Cockney style, and there's a lot of I say about it, and it's I love that bit where you get to hammer home and sustain that penultimate G. Why does that work so well? I don't know. It's just something that's always been there. So I give this a coverability a very compostable 1 out of 10. I'm never going to cover it. It's just a bunch of jokes, really. But it's got a good fun factor to it, so I give the fun factor a recycled 5 out of 10. Melodic divergence, I give it a rather rubbish 1 out of 10. It's just basically the usual 3 chords. And for harmonic divergence, that was harmonic divergence. For harmonic divergence, I give it a biodegradable 1 out of 10. So melodic and harmonic, basically on the floor, almost nothing. That wasn't what the song was about. Comebackability, it's never going to come back. I give it a detritus management factor of 0 out of 10. Basically, it advocates violence. We don't go round punching people up the throat anymore. I don't know however that was a thing. Song number 10 is next. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was Tommy Steele, Little White Bull, which is in easy peasy C major. The past is a different country. They do things differently there. Obviously, there's a lot of ethical issues with this. When I was young, I used to go to the Bullring Shopping Centre in Birmingham. There's since been some thought about, should we really call it that? I grew up thinking bullfighting was some sort of sport. Obviously, it's not. So this song's not gonna live on. But it's a song, and it was a song that was a big part of radio broadcasts when I was a child. So yeah, My Old Man's a Dustman, Tommy Steele, Little White Bull, yeah, played what felt like thousands of times. Interesting use of repeating phrase. And the way that it's presented is the main voice is Cockney, Little White Bull, but the choir of children who sing the echo are indeed required to sing Little White Bull. So they're required, the children are required to enunciate correctly. I just think that's quite an amusing little factor within itself. So this gets a harmonic complexity coefficient of a rather bovine 2 out of 10. I give it a red flag for coverability, really 3 out of 10. I'm not even sure whether that's... No, I'm never going to cover this, let's be honest. It's 1 out of 10. Iconicity, it's a rather rigged 6 out of 10. Yes, it was an important part of a generation growing up. So that's it. That's the 10. I hope you enjoyed this. And finally, please remember that the most important thing about music is what it sounds like. Oh, shit.